Thursday, the 11th of January, we race out there on the Vaal Classic Track, an 8-race program with the first race off at 12:15. It's a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,700 metres, and as with all 8-race programs, race 1 is the first leg of the bipod. And it's once again a great pleasure to welcome on the line, all the way from Dubai, Alistair Cohen. Alistair, how are you doing?
Yeah, Graham, very well, thanks. I trust that you're doing well. Lovely to be chatting to you yet again. The Turpentine card on Tuesday, I thought, went fairly well. Sadly, the one banker from Clinton Binder's yard, Ramchandani Road, let us down, but everything else went according to plan. Sadly, one leg of the place accumulator out, but I thought overall the card went nicely. Big Burn was seriously impressive when winning. Will be interesting to see if she makes the trip to Cape Town or whether Sean Terry will pick a few races up on the half out leading up to Champions Day. I assume the Computer Form Sprint or the Camellia Stakes will be the two races in the back of Sean's mind, but whether a trip down to the coast will happen in between remains to be seen. But there was good quality on Tuesday at Turpentine. Probably not quite the same levels at the Vaal on Thursday. I think the card starts off on a pretty even footing and then opens up towards the end.
Okay, well, let's get straight into race 1, which, as I mentioned, is a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,700 metres. The betting suggests a very competitive race. There's no clear-cut favourite. Top of the board's number 2, Roslyn, at around 7-2. Number 3, Memorial Day, who will race with the Cornell Collar, is at 11-2. Number 13, Impersonation, at 6-1, along with number 16, 3 Strands, at 6-1. So let's start there, Alistair, with number 16, 3 Strands. Only had a couple of runs, the daughter of Fatura. Surely plenty of scope for improvement.
Yeah, there's got to be. I'm a little bit sceptical about her going 1,700 metres, though. The way that she gets up handy and doesn't seem to finish off her races is a slight cause for concern, but I'm not going to doubt Cornet's piece of thinking here. The draw is fair. She'll probably come in 2 places due to the reserve runners. So, it could be a lot worse. She might be able to get handy and be difficult to peg back. I think the 4 runners that you mentioned, the 4 at the top of the boards, I'm not going to look for anything sort of off-piste, so to speak, to try and beat them. I think the winner will come from one of those. I think the value in the race lies with number 3, Memorial Day, under Gavin Lorena. She's cracked a draw for the first time in a while over a distance that I think will suit her. So she would be my very tentative first selection on the card. I do think number 2, Roslyn, is overdue. In the penultimate start, she ran 4 lengths to United Council. United Council franked that form in no uncertain terms about a week ago. So I think the race revolves around 2 and 3. I think the money maker in the first race is number 3, Memorial Day. I think she's worth a good, strong place bet in the first on the card, but I certainly wouldn't be following her from a win perspective.
Okay, so let's go on to race 2, which is a graduation plate over 1,000 metres. This is the first leg of the place accumulator. It's due for 12:45. It's a small field, and it might well get smaller. I checked the scratchings before we started to record the show, which we did. We are recording on Wednesday morning. Mescal, of course, ran on Tuesday, may not run here, but at this time is not yet scratched. But 8-10 in the market is number 2, Karangatang. 15-10, number 1, Swing Upon a Star, who tries 1,000 metres for the first time in his career. They're betting any price about the balance. Looks an absolute match on paper. Is Karangatang the one to be with?
He's undoubtedly the one to beat, Graham. I think it's a free ride through the place accumulator. I don't think I've seen an easier 6-legged place accumulator than this. Touch wood, it all goes according to plan. As you mentioned, I don't think there'll be 7 runners who line up in race number 2, so just check the scratchings. The 2 class horses of the race, although I think Swing Upon a Star is a better horse than Karangatang. Karangatang over 1,000 metres, I think we'll have the measure of Swing Upon a Star. I think Swing Upon a Star over 1,200, 1,400 will be a far better proposition. So as far as the place accumulator is concerned, one or the other, I do think number 2, Karangatang, will win it. And I don't think there's anything to deliver outside of the borders in race number 2.
Okay, well then let's move straight ahead to race number 3, which is the first leg of the pick 6. It's a novice handicap over 1,600 metres. A novice handicap, let me stress, not a novice plate. 10 runners carded. The early favourite is number 4, Toffas, From your stable, the Candice Dawson stable, so I'm sure you'll know something about Toffus. That's quoted at 18-10 at the present time. Number 1, Thunderstone, is at 7-2. Number 3, River Romeo, is at 6-1. They're betting 10-1 and better, bar the top 3. Tell us about number 4, Toffus, in the first leg of the pick 6.
Well, Toffus, I'd say, is the horse to beat. The concern is going 1,600 metres. He's been a mile twice, and he's not ripped up any trees on those 2 starts, Graham. But I can tell you that Toffus wasn't quite fit and firing in those 2 starts. And since coming back from a break, he's definitely come back to the earlier life that he showed. If he's able to get the 1,600 metres, I expect him to be the one to beat. He was collared by the narrowest of margins by subsequent Secretariat Stakes winner Jimmy Don. He got given £3 for that near miss. I don't think the penalty is going to stop him. The only thing that might stop him is 1,600 metres, but he is well at home, so I can't put any punters off. I've backed him up there in the place accumulator just in case he's trying for his mother over the final few strides with number 6, Lebeccio. I know that on all evident weight terms to Jimmy Don, Toffus has got the beating of all of those horses. But I think that if Toffus is vulnerable over 1,600 metres, the opposite applies to number 6, Lebeccio. I think that he could find an extra length over this trip. So I'll just include him, hoping to double up in this leg of the place accumulator. I think number 3, River Romeo, will need it. He beat a particularly weak maiden on debut. Clap of Thunder, still a maiden. And number 1, Thunderstone, with the extra weight, the 60 kilos, are going to be a hard ask for a 3-year-old. So I'm comfortable with the 2 horses in the second leg of the PA, 4 and 6.
Okay, so then that's race 3. The pick 6, I know you've said, sorry, just going back to race 3 again, Alistair, you know you're comfortable with 4 and 6 in the place accumulator. This is the second leg of the place accumulator. Would you, given your little worry about Toffus getting home over 1,600 metres and being a novice handicap, would you suggest to our pick 6 punters to go a little wider than the 4 and 6?
The only other horse I'd include, actually, I'll put 2 horses into the pick 6 in that leg. There'd be number 1, Thunderstone, because he might have enough ability, and I'd be angry with myself if he won. And then the other horse I'd back it up with is number 8, Future Wolf. A good run last time behind Bonetta. The second horse, Pragmatist, is also progressive. He shouldn't be too far away. So, if 1 or 2 fluff their lines, maybe number 8, Future Wolf, can get in there. So pick 6, 1, 4, 6, and 8.
Well, there you heard that. All about race 3 from Alistair. Let's move on to race 4, the classified stakes over 1,600 metres, off at 13.55. We're on the Vaal Classic track, and this is the first leg of Jackpot 1. We do have an early scratching, number 5, Global Breeze. We once again urge you to check all of your card changes before making your final selections. There are a number of runners carded here that also raced at Turfentine on the Standside track on Tuesday, and most of them are unlikely to back it up 48 hours later. Some might, but not all of them. Last time out, Alistair, they backed In Cahoots as if the result was in the frame before they even entered the starting stalls.
And he was a facile winner at that. So the Strudies that got on would be very satisfied. And I think he's got a good chance of backing it up. I know he got £7 for that win, but he probably even won easier than the margin suggested. He powered home. Gavin Lorena retains the ride. Was the first time Gavin sat on him. Everything went according to plan. And out of stallgate comes in a place already to stallgate 3. I can't see too many complications. Since he's raced a little bit handier, and since, getting to grips with Stephen Moffat after relocating from Sean Terry, did very well with Sean Terry. Stephen Moffat now seems to have just got that extra edge out of him with the rating drop, but that's now coincided with a confidence boost last time. So I think number 1, In Cahoots, should back it up. He is, of course, a half-brother to Group 1 winner Under Your Spell. So even though he's 7, he's not getting much better. Still, the genetics are there to suggest that, number 1, In Cahoots, might have another win or 2 in the tank. The backup in the place accumulator is number 2, Admiralty Arch. His penultimate win on the Vaal Classic track I thought was excellent. I'm not sure that Turfentine, I know that you can draw comparisons between the Vaal Classic track and Turfentine. I'm not sure he enjoyed travelling away from home last time. It was a bit of a flat run from him. And I think back home, number 2, Admiralty Arch, will run better. Whether he'll be able to defeat number 1, In Cahoots, and his indirect form lines here with Rattlebag being key remains to be seen. But I'm willing to give him another chance back at the Vaal. They are 2 horses in the place accumulator. I do think the winner will come from one of those. I've got an absolute, well, it's not really a lunatic, but I think the value in the race for a nice trifecta quartet swinger horses, it's horse Earl of Cardigan from the informed Grant Maroon stable. Ryan Munger takes the ride. I think you can expect a fair run from him, and I think he'll be in the first four.
What do you make of Burmese Tiara?
Burmese Tiara, if she behaves, I know it's not necessarily ideal from a place accumulator bar or pick six perspective, but you'll need to watch her behaviour prior to the race. And if she goes down to the start without nearly throwing Muzayeni into his grave, then number 3 Burmese Tiara could be set a good run. She's a hothead. She's clearly got something about her. It looks like Bar Boards is getting closer to the better of her. But she's not too reliable, and with her running style from a deep draw, she might have to use a little bit too much and might tee up a few just coming from off her. So I'd say a place choice, but others prefer it from a win perspective.
So there we heard it from Alistair. Race 4, the top choice in cahoots. The place accumulator backup is number 2, Admiralty Arch. As we go to race 5, which is the first leg of Jackpot 2, this is a middle stakes over 2,400 metres. And it's off at 14.35. Now, again, here's a runner, number 10, Flying First Class. That's currently quoted third choice in the market at 5-1. That ran over this distance, 2,400 metres, on the standside track at Turfentine on Tuesday. Be interesting to see if David Nivenazen backs up the 5-year-old daughter of Silvano 48 hours later. She is the third choice in the anti-post market. The top 2 on the betting boards are numbers 3, White Fang, and 4, Arlington Action. Arlington Action goes for 5 in a row, Alistair.
And I keep saying to myself, well, surely now the handicap has got the best of number 4, Arlington Action. And it hasn't happened yet. But now I think the handicapper and the weights might have just caught up to number 4, Arlington Action. Graham, I'm very bullish about number 3, White Fang. I'm surprised that they're both betting 3-1. They've met each other 3 times through their career. Arlington Action ran on the 19th of June on the Turpentine Inside Track, finished 3 lengths to White Fang, when White Fang had, 7.5 kilos to play with. There was 3 lengths between them, and White Fang finished in front of Arlington Action. Then they met on the 15th of September, and the weight turnaround shows that White Fang is 4 kilos better off for a quarter of a length beating. And then they met again on the 8th of October on the Turpentine Inside Track, and again the weight suggests that number 3 White Fang has got 4 kilos to work with. So they're both 3-1. I'm all in here on number 3 White Fang. I think that he'll take all the beating. His last run, I thought he just needed it. He went off to the front. He was undone by 2 accomplished stayers, certainly more proven stayers on that particular occasion. I also think the soft underfoot conditions on that day didn't help him coming back from a 2.5-month break. I think number 3 White Fang will take all the beating, and I must be honest, I don't see too many dangers. If I had to find a danger, it would be the doubtful start to number 10 Flying First Class. I can't see her running, so all in number 3 White Fang all the way, just make him the horse to beat.
Right, there we go. So Alistair's all in with number 3 White Fang in race 5, the middle stakes over 2,400 metres. Let's move on to race 6, handicap, this time out of fillies and mares at the 88 level over 1,000 metres. The early scratching here is number 1, Remember When, leaving us with a smallish field of 7 runners. The favourite is number 4, Rose for Trippy at 2-1. Number 5, Little Miss Moneybags is at 3-1. Number 6, Insatiable is at 9-2. Number 3, Big Eyed Girl is at 5-1. And pretty much 12-1 and better the balance. Rose for Trippy. Michael Azzi, trained daughter of Trippy, is the favourite. Alistair, will she get the job done?
I think she will. Adam, that is his birthday on Wednesday, the 11th of January. So it might be a belated birthday celebration of number 4, Rose Trippy wins. I think she will. I think she's above the handicapper. Her win last time was full of merit when destroying Mythical Dream. Mythical Dream is no mug. She was seriously unlucky in her penultimate start behind Wings of Nike. I believe she could have won. She got £3 for that run, but that clearly didn't stop her. The kicker for number 4, Rose Trippy, is that I think although number 5, Little Miss Moneybags, has got some ability, and she got herself out of a world of trouble last time. I'm not sure she'll be able to possess that over 1,000 meters. And plus, she's also held by number 4, Rose Patrippy, on that run on the 17th of November. So I think Little Miss Moneybags will run in the first 4. I don't think she'll get there in time. I've gone with the horse right at the bottom of the boards as back up to number 4, Rose Patrippy. Number 2, May Queen. I think that she can run into the first 3, and I'm hoping to double up with her. Her last run was all wrong. There was a little bit of money for her on the Vaal Classic track. But if you ignore that run and take her runs to Bella Chica and the Gardenia, and that's a strong form line, to a Pico, who, of course, went very close in the Southern Cross Stakes at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth and her subsequent start, and then in the Magnolia to a Lula Star, we saw the Magnolia form ranked at Hollywoodbets Greyville a few days ago, and also with Miss Cool. So Miss Cool ran 4th in the Magnolia. She came out and won the 3 Traker Stakes, and then just behind May Queen was a horse called Lizzie, who won the African Holly, the African Holly at Hollywoodbets Greyville subsequently. So I think that's reasonably strong form, and also Sweet Pepper was behind May Queen in the Magnolia. So that form is too good for me to ignore. I think the price is wrong on May Queen. Will she beat Rose Patrippy? I'm not convinced, but I think she should be nice back up in the place accumulator.
Well spotted, Alistair. If you look at number 2, May Queen, she certainly knows how to win. She's won 6 races, so she's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, but her course and distance form really does make for interesting reading. She's had 6 tries over track and trip for a win, a second, 3/3 and a 4th, so she's yet to finish out of the frame in 6 goes over the course and distance, number 2, May Queen, and Alistair believes she's overpriced currently at 12-1, back up in the place accumulator to the favourite number 4, Rose for Trippy. Moving on to the penultimate race, race 7, Fillies and Mares 69 divided handicap over 1,000 metres. Now, I've seen your place accumulator numbers. I know you've included 4. We'll get to your place accumulator at the end of the show and summarise all of that. But you've put 4 horses into this race, which clearly suggests that it's a tough one.
Yeah, there's very little thought and very little logic, unfortunately, to this race, Graham. It's a matter of survival from here. My 3 horses, number 3, Prey Upon a Star. Let's go through it numerically in no particular order. Of course, Corey Lindsay had a winner at Serpentine on Tuesday and was a good start to the year. She won with a lot of ease last time. I do question the strength of the form. He's drawn on what's perceived to be the right side of the track as well. Not that there's any rain forecast in Johannesburg. There hasn't been any rain since the weekend, and I don't see any coming for the next few days. So that might nullify potential better going towards the outside. But if there is any bias, then number 3, Prey Upon a Star, is on the right side. Be interesting to see whether the handicap has got her up a rating of 73. There's every chance she might not back up coming straight out the maidens. But I like the way she won last time to suggest that at this level, she could be dangerous. Number 5, In the Ethers, and a credit to Grant Maroon. I didn't give In the Ether a hope in hell last time, 10 days apart from her trip down to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. But she won in style, and I'm not too sure whether that feat's been achieved before from Cape Town, and then a good run in Cape Town at that, and then 10 days later back up to the half belt and winning. So she's obviously in good heart, and she has to go in just because she's become a model of consistency. Number 7 on the card, Beat It Gown. I've been for her a few times. I really, really like her in her penultimate start behind Dancing Dora on the show. I thought that she represented the value in the race, and she ran into the quartet. I don't think she's far away from winning. She might have found the right race to go very, very close indeed. And then number 10, Big City Girl. Every time I listen to an interview with Corne Spies, he always expects a lot more from number 10, Big City Girl. It's been 420 days since her last win. She's about to bang the door open. Ryan Munger takes the ride. The draw on the inside is obviously a little bit of a concern. This is obviously a classified stakes as well. A Fillies and Mares divided handicap, beg your pardon, a Fillies and Mares divided handicap. So the handicapper giving her £1 for her most recent performance is a little bit of a worry. But I think off of 55, she still can't be too far away, because off that mark she wasn't far away in the past. So it's a race where even though I've gone 4 horses and there's an outside chance of trebling up, I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I'll be happy just to survive.
Well, let's just reflect on the betting before we move on to the last race, just for our viewers. This is the anti-post market. Number 5, In the Ether, as Alistair said, was super impressive going down to Cape Town, coming back after a good run at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth and winning at the Vaal. So, as he mentioned, a credit to Grant Maroon. She's in very good form, is 5-2 favourite. Number 7, Beaded Gown, is 28-10. Then number 10, Big City Girl, is 6-1. Number 3, Prey Upon a Star, is at 7-1. Number 8, Quick Run, is the only other one quoted in single figures at 8-1. So in the ether, very game, very consistent coming into the race. But Alistair's gone with 4 runners in the place accumulator. Tough race, race 7. Race 8, the final race. MR72, handicap 1,200 metres, the 8th and final race out there at the Vaal Classic Track on Thursday, the 11th of January. Goes off at 16:20. Yeah, Alistair's included 3 runners in the place accumulator. Talk us through the race, Alistair.
Graham, the more I look at this race, the more I like number 2, Meteoric. I know she takes on Boys, but she took on Boys last time out to run behind a very progressive horse trained by Roy Magna and the form of Malek. She's up and she's down in class, so therefore by virtue up in the weight. But she's got a reasonable draw. She seems to love the distance. All 3 of her wins have come over 1,200 metres, so she's in good heart. And she got a massive penalty for that last one. She got given £9 for being a loser. So that is a bit of a deterrent to number 2, Meteoric's chances. But I think that she's in good enough form to at least run into the first 3. One of my good old favourites, number 3, Pinch It, is in there. Barney Broncos and Gavin Lorena team up. His recent run suggests that he's not too far away from winning. I know that they're the top 2 in the betting, so I'm not being overly adventurous. My backup in this race, number 9, Back to Basics, back after running third to Lollapalooza, who went off at 66-1 a week ago. He hasn't got the most ideal of draws, but he's got the right type of profile to go close in a race of this nature. Lawson with chances, number 2, Meteoric, if she's able to overcome that penalty that the handicapper gave her, I think that she'll be the one that they all need to beat. There's just too many horses in this race I find that are out of form that might need to show a little bit more before we can follow them. So I'm just going with those that are running in good heart at the moment.
Well, you've mentioned numbers 2, 3, and 9. The only other runners quoted in single figures are number 1, Cool Winter, for Keegan DeMello and Mike de Kock at 6-1. But Cool Winter's form coming into the race is not that inspiring. Number 5, Defender of Rights, is at 8-1. Stuart Pettigrew's been in a pretty good form. Defender of Rights at 8-1. Not too far off them in the later in the last few runs. Number 7, Rattle Bag, is at 7-1. Interesting, you picked up on number 3, Pinch Hit. Only won 1 race, and that was 214 days ago. And that's the only time that Gavin Lorena has ever ridden the 3-year-old son of William Longsword. So Gavin is 1 for 1 on Pinch It, and he reunites with the son of William Longsword at the Vaal Classic Track on Thursday, the 11th, in the 8th and final race, and that could be a pointer towards Pinch Hit coming out on top. Right, Alistair, we're going to bring up your place accumulator onto our screens, and you can take us through your place accumulator, which kicks off with a banker, number 2 in the opening leg, Karangatang.
Yep, so the place accumulator gets underway at 1:45 in race number 2 on the 8 race program. Like I said, it starts off on a pretty even note, and I think it opens up, especially in the last 2 races. Banker 2, Karangatang. I have absolutely no doubt that we'll get through that leg of the place accumulator. 4 and 6, Topaz and Lebecchio. 1 and 2, In Cahoots and Admiralty Archers, very close to bankering In Cahoots. Banker number 3, White Fang in race 5, which is leg 4 of the place accumulator. But 2 and 4, May Queen and Rose for Trippy. I'll be hoping May Queen can get into the first 3. I'll be hoping to double up, and I'll be hoping to knock. Even though majority of the tickets will be on Rose for Trippy, I think we'll gain some ground there regardless of May Queen runs on the first 3. And then the final 2 legs, 3, 5, 7, and 10. Prey Upon a Star in the ether, Beaded Gown and Big City Girl. I'm kind of waiting for In the Ether to run flat, although she's showing no signs of that in her last few starts, and still have that lingering doubt in the back of my mind that she's due a flat run. And then the final leg, 2, 3, and 9, Meteoric, Pinch It, and Back to Basics.
As always, Alistair, thank you very much for your time and for your contribution to the GTV preview shows on the Highveld. I know you've got a busy few days ahead of you. Lots happening in Dubai.
Yeah, thank you so much, Graham. I'm really looking forward to it. It's the third time that we've raced 5 days in a row in the UAE. Wednesday racing at Sharjah obviously is not the norm. We had so much rain over the weekend that the meeting from Saturday was moved to Wednesday. So looking forward to it. The carnival meeting on Friday looks like the top draw, as you'd expect. Some big European horses, not necessarily the good old finish though, but some big European horses are running on Friday, so looking forward to that. And then obviously to the lead up to the end of the month back home, the World Sports Betting Cape Met on Saturday, the 28th of January. That's shaping up to be very interesting indeed. I think Cormet de Ding's run in the Lomaron King's Plate was a run that sort of pushes me into the direction of him. But the big kicker in that race is Make It Snappy or 51.5. She's very interesting. Lots to talk about in the next couple of weeks, Graham.
Thank you very much, Alistair. Go well. Enjoy your time in Dubai.